This is a Power 98.7 podcast. Now we're talking. Subscribe to Power 98.7 podcasts in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. There's more on power987.co.za.
Inspiring change. Power 98.7. Now we're talking.
It's 17 minutes past 7 on Power Business. On the line, I'm joined by Johan. He's AI expert, and we're shifting our focus to the National AI Policy Framework, which was recently introduced by us here in South Africa. The policy aims to guide the development of AI in a way that is both ethical and aligned to the country's socio-economic context. And Johan joins us now to unpack this in greater detail. Johan, thank you so much for your time and good evening.
Good evening. Great to be with you.
Johan, I'm excited that we're thinking about this. And of course, I know there's many naysayers, but I'm keen just to get your thoughts on, the way in which South Africa needs to be thinking about AI.
Yeah. Look, I think it's exciting. We need to follow what we see happening in the European Union with the EU AI Act, which is groundbreaking legislation. But we need to translate it into an African and particularly a South African lens. We've got unique socioeconomic challenges. We've got the issue of biases in data, especially against women and people of different ethnicities. So we really need to create an AI future for ourselves and for our children. And that AI policy document that was released, I was very encouraged by it because it was very South African focused and very relevant, and it encourages feedback from anyone. And I really do hope that people from all walks of life will give their input, and also that government and the relevant organizations will listen to it and implement it into our strategy, which is the next step that we're going to see.
I think the strategy really cuts across many issues in our society, ones that, of course, that already exist and ones that may emerge as a result of AI. But I think the one where we're most concerned about, and I think you've touched a bit on, how AI can, of course, be biased against women and people of different races and ethnicities. I'm very keen to find out about the ethical consideration here and what that might have to look like when we speak about it from South Africa's perspective.
Yeah. Look, ethics for me, if I can summarize for me in a very simple way, is the following statement. Just because we can do it, should we do it? And what I mean with that is this technology gives us power over people, our consumers, our citizens, the data we are harvesting from people's social media use, their mobile phone use, their banking app use. It gives us incredible power. It gives a government so much power over its people. But even if there's no law, and we currently don't have a legislative framework in South Africa, we are moving toward it. But it's not just about towing the line and not getting in trouble with the law. It's about doing what's right for people. A lot of what we're seeing these days with AI is what we call automated decisioning systems, credit decisions, home loan decisions, medical decisions. And if there's any bias in those systems, and it probably will be, will it make decisions that accommodates everyone fairly in our country? And it's something we need to think about because we've seen all over the world where these systems are making decisions that's influenced by existing biases. Yeah. One good example that I always use is facial recognition. When you walk in the street, you are being filmed by cameras, security cameras. And even today, facial recognition systems struggle to recognize female faces and people with darker skin tones. And that's why we'd see, I think, was it 2 or 3 years ago in the US, a lot of wrongful arrests of African American people because the system and the facial recognition identified them incorrectly. That's why I say, let's utilize the technology from China and America and Europe, but we have to make it African owned. We must make sure our data stays in our region. This is so serious for the future of our children that we are the owners of our AI future. But these biases will play a big role, and we need to do everything we can to make sure that it does not impact us in a negative way, which it probably will if we don't take it seriously enough.
What I also know, Johan, is that, what could happen in South Africa is the fact that the private sector could, adopt AI and kind of run with it, and government might lag behind here, but we could actually use AI to have a better government. Now, like I said earlier, I know there's people who are naysayers who will tell you that we're just keeping the lights on. So, leave matters of AI alone. But the truth of the matter is that there's also potential there for AI to be good for service delivery. And we need people to contribute to this policy, from those walks of life, people who think of public administration, who think of public services as well, so that we are able to take advantage of these opportunities.
Yeah, you are so right. It should serve us as a population. If we think of blockchain technology, for instance, which you can maybe pull into the greater AI conversation, it would really help with corruption from a state procurement point of view, which is a big problem in our country. Even today I heard on the news about just the increased level of corruption within municipalities and within government sectors. It's traceable, it's viewable, it's possible to see who made what decisions. But think of education and healthcare. The fact that we can educate our youngsters in a way that is personalized to their needs, but also from a healthcare point of view. Now, like you've just said, we sometimes struggle to keep the lights on, which is like a second industrial revolution problem. We're in the fourth now and almost in the fifth already. But the point is, this technology can really serve us. We can use this technology to predict extreme weather patterns and flooding, which we've seen so much over the last year. We can predict rural uprisings, like we've seen in KZN, some months ago. It really can help us and protect us. And that's I think the whole goal about regulation. Regulation is there to protect us. But regulation always follows innovation. And I think that split between what's being innovated and what's being regulated is increasing so much because the technology is moving so fast. But if we all move quickly, if we're smart about this, and if our government really grapples and use this, it can be such a benefit to us and our children. The opposite is also true from a privacy point of view, from a lack of control point of view, from a bias point of view. The only thing I always say is, I've got a 10-year-old son. When he's 50 one day or 30, will he look back and say, we were asleep at the wheel? We didn't take this serious enough, and we absolutely should take this very seriously.
Another one thought that comes to my mind, I guess, at this time when we try to think of AI in South Africa is the one that I guess is more obvious and an argument that has been made by many, that South Africa should never adopt AI at the expense of jobs, not while we're dealing with the job crisis. And of course, that can be taken, just as is. But a big issue there is around skills, upskilling, reskilling, skilling people at all. And I'm wondering, if there is in the framework enough room being given to that. Because what we need also, I think, if you're a banker, you possibly need to be a banker who understands AI a little bit. If you're a lawyer, if you're an accountant, but even more so if you are unemployed and you are on that, if you get 150 Rand or 370 Rand grant, more importantly, for those skills to be transferred at that level.
Again, such a good topic. And again, that's why we need to frame this from a South African point of view. We can't use let's call it the luxuries and economic freedom that you see in the so-called global north, in the US, America, and other areas. Europe and so forth. We've got so many people without work, and this technology will increase the amount of unemployed people. And the balancing act here is to look after our people, but also to stay globally competitive. We can't stop automating. We cannot stop implementing AI because we will essentially go back to the Stone Age from a global competitive point of view. Do we need some sort of regulation where, for instance, say a company can only automate 10% of their workforce out of work? Almost like call it an AI BEE framework, if you would, which I think would be great, but then we will stop being competitive. It is something we're going to have to grapple with. A lot of people talk about the universal basic income, where we use more money to finance those who lose their jobs through automation. Where is that money going to come from? We're already struggling to finance our social grants in this country. It is going to impact us in ways we cannot imagine. I don't think we have answers for it. At least the policy framework does touch on that. Can we now just bring it back from an academic, almost like an armchair philosophy conversation, to really practical ways where we can educate people, re-employ people? We've got people, our citizens are so amazing when it comes to language diversity, understanding different cultures. So call centers, we should have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of our people, especially our young people, in call centers in our country servicing the whole globe. There's a lot happening around doing that, but not enough, I think. But I wish I can say that we can ignore this issue of joblessness and job losses. It's going to be a massive problem globally, but especially in our country going forward. That's why we need a collective answer, and I don't see enough happening around what are we going to do.
We know that this framework is open for commentary at this time, and I think something that you've been very open about, and you've really emphasized, is for people not to think that this is an opportunity for only experts to come through with opinions. If you're a parent, if you're South African, if you're employed, if you're not employed, if you're retired, this is an opportunity to make sure that you've at least participated in the democratic process that will see this policy emerge.
I agree. Look, there's an email address, there's a portal, and I would encourage everyone from every walk of life to participate, because a housewife, a nurse, a plumber, people from every walks of life have certain ideas and fears about this, which we need to listen to. My concern is, what if the government now receives 2 million email responses? How are they going to process that? How are they going to make sure that they accommodate everyone? Hopefully they thought about that. It is really a concern for me. But however they do it, I almost want to say, if you don't want to participate, then don't have an opinion about it. Say your say. You don't have to be an expert. You don't even have to know what AI is. Talk about your concerns, your fears, as a parent in particular. It's good that we've opened this up for conversation. Let's just make sure, I hope, that we process all of that feedback into a way that makes sense for the future. I would like to think the government's thought about that they have systems, technological systems, to process thousands of emails and voice notes, etc. But please, no matter who you are, say your say, even if you're not an expert. It's our chance now. And once this chance is gone, it's gone. We're going to start regulating this technology, and it's too late then to have an opinion. So people should do it right now.
Johan, I check a little bit, because ironically, AI can help in processing all
Absolutely.
of those comments. Thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure chatting to you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Bye.
That's Johan Steyn, an AI expert there, an automation expert as well, and really speaking to us about, AI there. And I really think it's important that those who can make their voices heard really make an effort. You might think that what you have to say is not important, that they're going to do what they do anyway. But I think, like Johan says, it's going to change our society so much. At least be able to sleep at night knowing that you said something. You said, I'm worried about jobs. I'm worried about data. I'm worried about privacy. I'm worried about discrimination. All of this important, I think, in us making sure that, you just do your little bit. Another interesting one, I think, that Johan says, and I think he speaks as an expert, but also as just somebody who is a parent, that it's important for us to not find ourselves in a situation 50 years time where our young people can say, you were there and you fumbled this policy. You fumbled the opportunity to make sure that South Africa's AI journey is free, is fair, is equitable, and is highly ethical.
You've been listening to a Power 98.7 podcast. For more podcasts, visit power987.co.za or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.